Hey guys, welcome back to Princess Connect. In today's video, I'm going to be going through my reroll tier list. Now, this is my preference of units to get for the reroll. This is not a tier list for the actual game. I will be doing a PvE and a PvP tier list for the global meta, but this is just when you're rerolling, looking at the sort of things you want to reroll. This is my personal list. Some other people may differ a bit as well, but hey, that's what we're going to go through. Also, at the end of this video, we will be doing the draw for the giveaway for the 15,000 subscriber giveaway. We will be doing another one once we reach 20,000. Anyway, let's get into it. Okay, so we'll kick it off with just a brief overview of what the tier list, how it's set out, and then I will go through each unit, and then I'll cross over to the game and talk about why I put them in that place. But the first thing I want to look at is the SSSAB. It's pretty much, you know, the number one unit I want to reroll for. The next one is the two substitutes. Then when we get into A and B, B are the ones I'm really not fussed about. A are the ones that if I got one of the S tiers and maybe one of the A tiers in the same role after a couple pulls, then I'd probably keep it. Moving on from that, we have the top 1/2 stars and the niche 1/2 stars. So with those, the thing about those ones that why I put them in there is because they're the 1 and 2 stars where if you're only going to do a couple 10 pulls and then save the rest of your resources, they may be things to consider that if you get them, they're really going to help your gameplay through the early game and then into PvP as well. And then the niche 1/2 stars, they're more 1 and 2 star units that can be slotted in to really help out some PvP teams, but they're not really necessary to get started. So first off, we'll kick it off with the SS tier, the number one reroll unit, and that is going to be Makoto. Now, the reason she is going to be number one is if we jump over into the game and take a look at her, when you look at her skills, basically when clan battles come out, she's going to be the prime unit at global launch to be able to deal with this because of the amount of defense reduction she does have for the enemy boss, basically. So what you really want out of her is that one, the single target damage is nice, but it's more about getting that defense break out of her. And the reason she's going to be there is purely because of that reason. She is the primary unit when that drops. Not so good in campaign or PvP, usable, but not like top tier. But the other thing about her is why I really want to reroll for her is that the clan shop at the moment on soft launch, I don't know how quick they will introduce the clan shop on global launch. But at the moment, she's only available from the clan shop, which is not available yet. So she's pretty much like one of the only ones you cannot get at the moment. And that's why re-rolling for her is also really valuable, because then you can actually have her in your kit and not have to wait for that point. So basically, really good unit for future content and hard to obtain. So that's one that I'm looking to the future when I go ahead and re-roll for her. And she will be my primary target when re-rolling, because you can get through the campaign with free-to-play units up to where the campaign's at the moment anyway. That's why I really want to look forward into the future and pick up her. Next up, we are going to be looking at Nozomi, I suck at saying the names, and Maho. These are just two great support units that can pretty much go into any team. Also, like, useful in PvP in the early stages of global as well. Very strong over there as well. So let's take a look at them. We'll start with Nozomi, or Nozomi. Once again, I suck at names. But the basic reason for her is these are both very easy to farm because you do get them both from the dungeon shop, which you do get heaps of coins with, especially if you buy the cheap pack for it. So they're easy to farm. However, they're that useful that it's really nice if you can pick up a copy of them early, use them for early progression, and then use the shop to actually star them up. So basically with Nozomi, she's basically a really good tank slash support slash CC. So she's got this Union Burst which taunts all enemies, so you can use her as a secondary tank to taunt away from your main tank, give your main tank time to recover. But she taunts all enemies, a moderate boost to own physical and magical defense, and a small boost to physical attack for all allies. Really nice in physical, in like melee heavy physical teams. The melee heavy thing will come when we look at the heal. Recovers HP of all nearby allies by a small amount. So once again, can really support herself, but also support nearby allies, being the tank or any other melee units you do have in the team. And then we have this one here as well. Deals small physical damage and inflicts stun to all enemies in range. So bit of damage, but the big thing is the AoE stun on that. So just a really good support tank unit that can really help out the team, and really does make the early progression a bit easier. So she is definitely one that I'm keeping an eye out for. And then the other one we talked about is going to be Maho, just a really solid support healer. So small boost to magic attack and physical defense for all allies, and recovers their TP by a small amount. Now the TP is really nice. Generating TP, getting you towards your union burst faster is always going to be helpful. Then we have this heal here, recovers the HP of the party member with the lowest HP by a moderate amount. These moderate amount heals, especially in the early game, are way better than AoE heals. AoE heals take a long time into the game, sort of towards rank 7 before they start being able to heal enough to be relevant, whereas these single target heals are always going to be usable, and normally in campaign you're only getting 1 or 2 units hit, so it's not too bad. Then we also have this one, inflicts blind to an enemy in the second position. Can be really nice. Also, like I said, in PvP, this sometimes does come into play. If they've got a heavy damage dealer in the second slot, you can always blind them, mitigate some of that damage. Really nice, but all around, just a great healer. Next up in the A tier, we have Shizuru, Hatsune, Reno, and Monica. So these are that A tier where if I get one of the S tier units and one of these guys, I'm probably going to go with it. Or I may get really greedy and just keep going for the SS tier. But what we're going to do is jump into the game and take a look at these guys as well. So we'll start off with Shizuru. Now, she's just a really nice support that's really good in that position 2 role to basically heal and also give some physical mitigation to your team. Really nice for progression. She has a little bit of damage in this, but also can get some defense up for herself so she can work as a secondary tank. So what I really like about her is the fact that she's useful in campaign because once again, that mitigation and the heal. And then also she is usable in some PvP comps that are very stall tanky type thing that aren't as meta, but just still useful. I just really enjoyed using her on my account, and that's pretty much why I put her there. Some people might put her lower, but I just had great use out of her, so that is why she is going to be there on the list. Next up, we're going to look at Hatsune. So basically, she is very meta in PvP at global. If we go ahead and find her here, a lot of the top teams are using her basically because she can snipe the enemy with the highest attack. So if we look at her Union Burst, deals small physical damage to all enemies that use physical attacks, deals moderate magical damage to all enemies. And then we go this one, deals moderate magical damage to the enemy with the highest physical attack. And then this one deals small magical damage to the enemy with the highest physical attack and inflicts stun. So really good at considering it's a very heavily melee, like physical based meta. The fact in PvP that she can snipe that physical unit and normally kill them before they can be a threat, also stunning them, makes her really strong, and she's one of the top PvP damage dealers at global. She may get phased out later on, but at global, she's really strong, and that's why I've got her there on the list. Moving on from that, who was next on the list, we have Reno. So Reno's one I've actually invested in and got to 4-star just to experiment with her. She has a very unique cleave comp that's really nice. I do like cleave personally, so that's why she gets up there a bit. But the reason I've got her is she does have a moderate boost to her own physical attack and physical crit rate. Now with that 45 crit, it does only put her up to a, if we look at physical crit rate, a 55% crit rate. But it's much greater than anyone else in the game except for Suzuna, who's only single target. So it's not too bad. We do also have the crushing arrow dealing physical damage to a single enemy. So you've got the basic attack that's going to help with breaking through the front line, and then you have the arrow rain, which is going to deal damage AoE. Now you can combine her with Lima later on, which we'll talk about, to basically group the enemies up and allow this AoE to hit everyone. Very crit dependent. If she doesn't crit, you're probably going to lose in arena. If she does, you're pretty good. Also, she's really handy for farming. Once you're sort of set up on campaign, you can farm stages quickly with her, but mainly for the PvP aspect of her, I really like the cleave teams. It's not the most meta team at the moment in the game, but she sort of has some staying power, and she just sort of stays a little bit relevant in PvP meta, and it's a team that I really enjoy. So that is Reno. Moving on from that one, we have the last one, and that is going to be Monica. So Monica's really nice. She's very similar to Coco. So if we go to Coco here, For those in case you don't know the names for Coco, they're very similar role. They're both buffers. Now, I like Monica more in PvP and I like Ko more in a PvE, but Monica's really nice due to the fact of this buff here. Small boost to physical and magical attack and action speed for all allies. So you come into the battle, especially in PvP, you get all these buffs. It's not bad in PvE as well, in campaign progression. I used her in campaign progression, but really nice for PvP. And then we also have this stun, a single target stun, which can sometimes come in handy. And then we do have some AoE damage, but the real reason she's in there is for a PvP unit to be boosting. The speed is the big one, but also the attack of your allies. For the B tier, I'm just going to go through them quickly here. We're not going to go into the game too deep. I just want to quickly touch on them. First up, we have Jita. Now, I pulled her, I maxed her out, I tested her. I'm not a massive fan of her in campaign or PvP. Some people swear by her, so keep that in mind. This is just my personal rating for her. Basically, like I said, this is me. If I get her in a reroll, I'm probably not going to be really excited about it. I just didn't like her personally. Could have been my team comps, but I've tried a lot of teams. But yeah, I just don't find her that amazing at launch. Just like for PvP, there's just better options in my opinion. And then we've got Suzuna for PvE. So she just falls there and I'm not really too interested in her at the moment. Next up, we do have Aniko, or Aniko, however you want to say it. She's just sort of this weird one where I feel like she's not quite tanky enough for me. She's very damage based. She's got the counter attack. She does have a small heal for allies, but she's got to get attacked when she's laughing to do the counter attack, which means she needs to be in attack range. I don't know how to fit her in, and I played with her on my first JP playthrough of the game, and I just wasn't impressed. So she drops down there. Io. Now, Io is one that I've played through with my whole campaign as well. She's really nice. Like, the charm can be really good. She has an AoE charm so that enemies attack themselves. She does have a TP steal as well, so she can be handy. I really like her in the dungeon. Just really handy to charm them at the start, boost bars, and then keep going on. But I haven't found her too amazing. Like, you do get some clutch wins in PvP where she charms and then they absolutely melt themselves if it happens at the right time. But besides that, I feel like there's just better options in campaign and she's not really 100% needed anywhere. She's not a bad unit, but it's just not one that I'm like, okay, I really want that. Next up, we have Ninon. Now, she can be quite useful in PvP. She does have a knockback plus 2 AoEs. Her second attack does generate TP if she kills an enemy. It's not going to kill an enemy too often, but she does have that knockback. So against enemy teams that have only a single front row that you can knock back and increase that AoE range of your units, it can be nice. But overall, she's just not one that I'm going to try and build a PvP team around. Maybe she'd be in my third Princess Arena team, but not in my number 1 or number 2. So that's why she sits there in B. Not overly ecstatic to get her. Next up, we have Anna. Now, she could creep up into this A tier for me. I put her at B. I don't mind her. It's just I haven't tested her enough. So she's sort of in between that A and B tier. Maybe if I did get it like a Nozomi and Anna, I'd probably keep the account depending on how I'm feeling on the day. So she is one that's very much in between the two ranks. But basically, she does... Her Union Burst is AoE damage to all enemies, not enemies in range. That's the cool thing about it. It is just all enemies, and it's magic based, which is kind of like there's not too much magic based damage dealers to use at the moment. So it's AoE, but it does reduce her defenses. And then she's got a passive where she's gonna, when she drops below, I think it's 20 or 10%, she's basically going to self-destruct and deal damage to all enemies again. So you can get some really good magic cleave out of her. Once again, I don't think she's the absolute top damage dealer, and I may even leave her in A tier. But once again, she's not bad, so something to look at. She looks really cool too, so that would probably even just bump her up to A tier for my personal reroll, but that's where I'm going to leave her anyway. And next up, we do have Saren, or Saren, I don't know how to say it once again. She's another one of those ones that I was tossing up between A and B for this tier, but basically, she has a TP boost for the closest ally, so in certain teams you can be boosting the right unit and really help out there. Besides that, she does have cleave damage. She does have one where she sacrifices HP to deal damage, deals more damage based on HP and stuff like that. Can be decent. She does become in JP, like look into the future, really strong at 6-star. But for the moment, she's not like one that I would use in my main team. The AoE physical damage isn't quite as good as something like Reno, in my opinion, the way the game is at launch. So that's why she sort of sits there for my launch reroll. Next up, we are going to look at the 1/2 stars to keep an eye out for. So Makoto here, just a fantastic tank and also very prominent in the PvP meta as well. So just a great unit to have to keep an eye out for in your roles, because she can be really helpful. You can use Pecorine for a tank through the campaign if you don't get anything else, but she is definitely fantastic. Suzuna, best early game campaign damage dealer in my opinion. 2 attacks that are guaranteed to crit, really, really helpful. Then we have Chica now, or Shika, however you want to say it. She's a nice healer, very almost needed for the dungeon, the very hard dungeon boss. Now, you don't have to have her. You can use a mercenary if you want as well, but just one to keep an eye out for because she is a really nice healer. Then we have Tomoki. She's one of the other prominent damage dealers in PvP at the moment that you see. It's pretty much Hatsune and Tomoki because her ability to snipe enemy magic damage dealers is really good. And then you've got Hatsune sniping physical damage dealers. They just make a really good combo with a bunch of tank and support in the rest of the team. So those 2 are the primary damage dealers in PvP, in my opinion, at the moment. So she's just one to keep an eye out for because she's really handy to have once you get into that PvP. And then at 1 star, we have Yukari. She's just an absolutely fantastic support. Very similar to what's her face over here, forgot her name, but you get the gist. She's got the heal, she's got magic mitigation, and she does have a TP boost for the lowest TP ally. So really, really strong. And then in that niche 1/2 star, we do have Mitsuki. Now she's there because she's got this nice AoE defense downrange that she puts out, which is really handy, especially in the Reno burst. So she's just one that's very niche, not really like keeping an eye out on, but if you get her, it's going to be nice. Kuga, very prevalent in the PvP meta at the moment in dual tank teams because she can actually taunt away from your main tank, let them survive, and play around like that. I'm not too sure how she goes in campaign. I never tested her in campaign, but it could be an option there to have her as like a supportive secondary tank, but I'd probably go for more units that have heals and then have a primary tank. Next up, Yuki, really nice for PvP. I do really like her in that she's got a Union Burst that's an AoE magic damage that lowers enemies' physical defense. She's got a TP boost for the ally with the highest TP. Once again, really, really handy in a lot of teams, including that Reno Burst. And then also on top of that, she does blind the second closest enemy, so can be really good for mitigation in PvP as well. And then finally, we have Lima. Now, Lima, you can farm shards, very easy to get, 1 star. Useful in the fact that she comes into the battle late, meaning that the enemies group up. And when I talked about that Reno burst that I was talking about, and a lot of other teams you can use this with as well, basically the enemies will all come further and group up, and then Lima will come in, meaning your secondary unit, your second in line, will take a bit of damage before Lima comes in. Then Lima comes in, sort of spreads that initial burst damage, and also groups the enemies up for those AoEs that say within range. So that is going to be it for my reroll tier list. Like I said, there's a few there that you could actually swap spots and put them up there or down there. Everyone's going to be a little bit different on it. I just wanted to show my priority when I'm rolling. Pretty much Makoto plus any other, maybe even just Makoto by herself with a couple of these 1 or 2 stars would be enough for me to keep going with. Otherwise, we're looking at one of these S ranks, Nozomi or Maho, plus one of these A ranks, and that would get me going. Even I reckon if I got the Saren or what's her face over here, we'd be pretty happy with it. I'm still struggling with a couple of the names. But anyway, guys, hope that helps you out when you're deciding to reroll. Hopefully global is pretty close, so we can get stuck into it. I'll probably even stream the global launch of the game with my rerolls. We'll see how we go. But that concludes it for the list. Now we'll go ahead and do the giveaway draw. Okay, so here we go for the draw. This was the video that we did the leave a comment in. We've got 643 comments. So let's go over. Let's actually first take that, copy that, go over to random comment picker. We'll close some of these ads. We'll paste that there. Filter duplicate users because like that just means if you put multiple comments, spam doesn't count. So let's go get YouTube comments. Hopefully it filters through fairly fast. How many do we have? How many comments do we have? At 643. All right, that's not going to take too long. We'll get there in another couple seconds. and it should be done now. There we go. We've got 631 comments. Now we come down here, we hit start, and we get the random winner. Big Panda, 2021 luck. Get around it. You had the 2021 luck. Okay, so Big Panda, edit that comment with a Discord ID or an email address so I can verify it's you. Then jump over to my Discord. In the top, like the top member of the Discord is going to be my Gwyneth bot. DM that. That's my mod mail. One of the mods will see it, pass it on to me, and I'll be able to get you your prize. So congrats, everyone else. 20K, when we get there, we'll be doing another one. So better luck next time. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Hope you have an awesome day, and I look forward to seeing the next one. Cheers.